Great. Moving on to our next team. This is the Paraguayan team. It's made up of 5 Chevening alumni. The presenter will be Jacqueline Cabañas, and answering questions will be Rebecca Ortega. So without further ado, we'll hand over to them.
Thank you so much. So Paraguay is in a privileged situation with an almost 100% renewable electricity generation coming from hydropower. However, more than 65% of the total generation is exported to neighboring countries at a low price. The reason for this massive exportation is mainly due to the lack of infrastructure to grab and use all the green energy generated. Next slide, please. Ironically, biomass and fuel source account for around 80% of the final energy consumption, where part of the industries are heavily dependent on biomass, and the transport sector is the major responsible for almost 90% of all imported petroleum, and the energy sector total CO2 emissions. On top of that, Paraguay could face a deficit of energy by 2030 due to the increasing demand. And the historical drought that is hitting the country emphasizes the need for the diversification of renewable and clean energy sources. Next slide, please. Considering this challenging and unique situation for our country, we have developed strategies to implement 3 COP26 goals. In the short term, our main sector target is public transportation. As medium-term and long-term plan, we are focusing on generating incentives for the use of solar energy to power industries, and introducing Paraguay in a promising green hydrogen supply chain. Next slide, please. The impact of our policy regarding electromobility is massive, because we are not only drastically changing the final energy consumption matrix with the transition from fossil fuels to electricity, but also targeting the public transport sector that has an enormous impact on society. With electrification of public transportation, we are greatly reducing the energy sector CO2 emissions and an important amount of imported fossil fuels, creating social impact by improving the society's quality of life and achieving social inclusion by reduction of the transportation tariff. In addition, this opens up an important opportunity to Paraguay by applying existing successful laws for national and international investment in the country to create an electromobility industry in Paraguay, inserting the country in a global electromobility supply chain, creating significant amount of job opportunities. Regarding the diversification of renewables, our policy targeting, firstly, in the transition to solar energy generation, strategically focusing to reduce biomass dependency on industry, allowing the restoration of renewable biomass. This strategy will give time to the government to structure and invest in new energy generation to avoid the potential deficit of energy expected by 2030. The incremental use of solar power in industry will allow the rise and investment in the solar power market in Paraguay, creating green job opportunities. And finally, by incentivizing electrolyzer manufacturers, we aim to insert Paraguay in a promising green hydrogen supply chain, which is currently one of the main focus of many countries worldwide. Next slide, please. Currently, the government subsidies the conventional transport sector. That is why it is possible to replace this by financing the transition to electromobility. We propose a flexible credit with 5-year grace period for the investment in the public buses fleet and charging station, also including a differential energy tariff for charging purposes until 2030. The scalability is
1 minute remaining.
With the reduction of the transition cost to electric buses, giving the owner the chance to minimize the implementation cost, optimizing the operation and improving the public transport service. Regarding solar energy, we are also proposing to offer flexible credits to the industries to invest in solar generation, making the use of solar power more attractive, affordable, and sustainable for them, as well as providing tax reduction benefits to low carbon industry. The opportunity of selling energy surplus to the electrical grid in a future distributed generation scheme demonstrates the scalability of this policy. And regarding green hydrogen, to insert Paraguay in a promising supply chain, our policy aims to engage electrolyzer manufacturers by giving them import tax exception and 1% tax for international export within and outside the Mercosur. Thank you. Next slide, please. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Jacqueline. Another example of excellent timekeeping. You've all really shown that it is possible to get lots of information into the 5-minute slot. I will open up. Oh, Tracy Ann's popped a question in the chat box. Tracy Ann, I don't know if you wanted to pose that live to Jacqueline.
Yes, I just wanted to find out, with the use of electromobility, what will the new energy mix, what do you foresee the new energy mix be in Paraguay in the next 5 years?
So by introducing electrification in the transport sector, we are changing the final energy matrix by replacing the biomass and fossil fuel source for electricity. Is this
so give me a breakdown in terms of how much percentage is that we're talking?
Like around 80% of the dependence of fuels and biomass source right now.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Ambitious, but that's what we need, right? Ambitious policies. Thank you very much. Thanks very much to the question as well. Do keep the comments coming in the chat box. It's really lively today. That's great to see. Thanks for all of your engagement.